Welcome, my friends, to YCM. Now, standing inside is a good friend of mine, my buddy Rick. Now, Rick is third generation here at YCM, and he's taken a special moment of his time, his precious time, and I'm so grateful to give us a tour inside. Now, on top of that, it just so happens to be a time of the year when distributors from around the world are here getting tours as well. So we're going to try our best not to interrupt or be rude to any of these folks, but we want to bring you some of the latest technology from YCM in this area. So follow me inside where we can learn a little bit more about the history, maybe some of the awards, and for sure, the machines that we have going on. And this is the young man, Rick. I was just telling you guys about Rick. How are you, my friend?
Great, Tony. How you doing?
Oh, I'm so grateful to be here with you and that you've taken your time out for the audience today and for me to share a little bit more about the history and definitely some of these beautiful machines you have.
Of course. I just want to show you around and also talk about our family and business. We started in 1954 with my grandfather and my uncle. Back then it was very industrial revolution here in Taiwan. So we started with repairing industrial equipment back in 1950s. That was during the Industrial Revolution in Taiwan here. Then we started developing a packaging machine, and it started becoming popular. So we started having a need for casting for these packaging machines. So that's when we started with our foundry. We invested in our foundry. We invested in our oven, and from our 1-ton oven. But then the oven, we couldn't keep it running enough, so we had to go to making more of the machines. So that's when we developed milling machines.
And that's part of the evolution. I didn't realize your foundry was that old, Rick. That's incredible.
Yes. That's how it all started. And that's why in 1969, we started moving to a new factory, a larger factory in nearby. It's about an hour away. And that's how we started. And we started building manual milling machines, 1.5 and 16 VS milling machines. And we started exporting into the U.S. and we took off from there.
You've definitely taken off. To my understanding, you have around 500 employees, 650 employees, 700 around. I mean, the number keeps growing. Every time I talk to someone, like, we keep growing, and you're focused now on 5-axis machining because you've been worldwide known for this 3-axis superior product, right? And now we're going to focus on AI. We're going to focus on 5-axis, and we get to show the audience out there some of the machines here today as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the fundamental of 5-axis is you have to have a stable machining condition, and that all starts from the casting itself. And that's why we have a foundry. We have to maintain the quality of the castings to make sure that the casting is stable, and that's why it translates into better accuracy on the 5-axis machines.
I almost want to teleport to the foundry right now, but don't worry, there's a video with Rick coming very soon in the foundry. We're here right now, but we're going to head over there in a bit. Rick, I really enjoy learning about this facility because when you first, or when your family first invested in it, this land was somewhat empty. But as I look around, the size of this facility, now you can't hardly expand outside of it because everybody is here. But you invested in an area that was smart over 70 years ago and have continued to expand.
Yeah, back then there was the road was small, there was nothing around, it was all farmland. I think my grandfather and my uncle took a bold move and invested in this area, and that's really helped us grow today. And I think right now we still have capacity to grow.
Yeah, you do. And as we walk through here, we're going to talk a bit more about the family legacy, but I want to start here as we look at some of these parts. And I believe we're going to start with the concept and the idea of automation as a whole. Now, automation, from what I've understood traveling around the world, is originally it was, I'm going to automate if I have thousands of parts, right? And now we're getting into this high mix automation, these pallet change system like you have to the far right, which we'll touch on in a little bit, but the ability to run nights and weekends, even if we have a one-off job or 20 one-off jobs, this is the automation of the modern times, isn't it?
Yeah, so definitely with automations, it has to be integrated with a done-in-one process with 5-axis. It allows customers to use less people, and you can run lights out and with automation combined with the 5-axis technology.
Rick, it's not every day I get someone with your wisdom on camera. So while we're talking on the subject of done in one or one and done, and we call it different things in different areas of the world, I call it done in one. Where do you think the importance lies when we're talking about, if I'm making this part right here, or let's say the finished one here, and I no longer have to move it from machine to machine, and I'm reducing not just labor or footprint of how many machines I need,
Right.
or maybe scrap rate, but the overall productivity and efficiency that goes into a shop to know that I can take a piece of raw material and when it comes off that machine, it's a finished part. The investment in a machine like this, the investment, while the upfront cost might be a tiny bit more,
Right.
the end cost is so much more savings, and we're really producing more, making more money at the end of the day, aren't we?
Of course. I mean, with 5-axis, you don't have to, like Tony had mentioned, you don't have to move the parts around, and that affects the accuracy of the parts if you have to move the parts around. And of course, your floor spacing and the people you have to hire to run the machines. So at the end of the day, definitely the 5-axis is the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. Let's navigate around this group right here. We're going to do our very best not to interrupt the presenters. They're doing such an amazing job. So we have to slide through. It's kind of fun, Rick. How many people are here today, by the way?
Oh, I think we have 100 dealers and customers here visiting us today.
100 dealers and customers. How many countries are represented?
Oh, we're present all over the world.
All over. You
all over
guys
the world.
are all over the world. Now, something I think, and I'm not sure if this word's okay with you, but we use it a lot in the U.S. that I think is sexy about machining, Rick, are these machines here that don't have the covers on them. It's like the machines got naked for me, and I like it. Can we talk a little bit like? This is one of my favorite style machines, Rick. Can we talk about the development through YCM with these machines?
Well, when we started developing this machine, we wanted to understand what the customer needed. That's more important. And the most important thing about the 5-axis today is the workpiece, the maximum workpiece. So we basically designed these machines around what the customer requirements are, especially in the semiconductor, aerospace, and dynamo sector. And that's where a lot of the 5-axis, where it's most efficient for these industries and these type of machining parts.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And they're actually really cool too when you see them spin very fast. But let's go back to you've been talking about the Foundry for a while, and I like that topic as well. And we can tap on this and we can feel the vibration dampening and the quality that goes in when you have your own Foundry integrated just around the corner. But when you mentioned 3 areas where, in my opinion, some of the most precise and necessary to be precise industries in any part of manufacturing, die and mold pops to the top of my head. How important is this area right here that you make in-house?
Definitely, with the casting is definitely very important in a 5-axis machine because we're dealing with volumetric accuracy, right? So you have always the thermal deformations of the machines, and you have to have a good structural design and good castings, and make sure that the memories of the castings are removed so that you have a stable process.
Let's talk a little bit more about this accuracy, and then I'm also going to bring up the fact that I believe you do a little hand scraping here as well, which is going to add to that accuracy also.
Of course,
They've actually asked me, did you grab B-roll of that? Which of course we have to. But let's talk about the accuracy. Now, when I'm working on a 5-axis machine and I'm this close as I get to the camera, this close to my part, but when I have to be this far away from my table, and that accuracy starts to expand, that's where the complications start to come in, right? And that's what you're paying attention to. That's the reason you brought it up.
Yeah, and that's why we have to focus on the geometric accuracy of the machines, and that's where the scraping comes in. We have to scrape the machines so you can achieve the maximum geometric accuracy. And so that when you translate into volumetric, we're at the optimized accuracy as possible.
Yeah, that's exactly, I mean, that's a great explanation. And have you ever done hand scraping yourself?
And when I was young.
You're still young, by the way. I've done it too, very poorly. I will not say that I'm even close to a professional. In fact, I think I threw a hip out when I tried to do it, but I've done it as well. And it's so important to the foundation and how everything's put together. I want to talk a little bit about, as we're coming to the end of all of these group tours, the audience may or may not have noticed, my cameraman did a great job of parting the Red Sea over there. But as we're coming to the end of this, and we've talked about 5-axis machining, the importance of automation, the foundation and the foundry, the overall precision that's required. Let's talk a little bit about the future of YCM. We've talked about over 70 years, the growth of the company, the expansion around the world, all the people you have here. But we're getting into AI now. We're getting into a brave new world that some people are afraid of, but we have to adapt to because it's moving quicker than a lot of us can keep up with at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with the Industrial 4.0 revolution, you have to start with standardization. Then you get into visibility, transparency. But right now we're going through a stage where we're doing optimization and automation. But the future, of course, is predictive and adaptive, which is the AI. And that's where we're heading towards. And I think that's the technology, where the technology of the future is to help customers to use as much as more efficiently, to make a part more efficiently as possible with less manpower. And that's have to be driven by future technology and AI.
Well, I've heard great wisdom from you, and I've heard it from other places as well, that one of the biggest issues right now is a labor shortage, skills gap. So you said it best. It's becoming more efficient. It's figuring out how to do these things. It's adapting to this modern technology. If you had one message before we move on to one of your other amazing areas in this massive facility here in Taiwan, one message for the audience right now who's considering leaning into working on the YCM machines, and I know you have thousands of customers around the world that can also give testimonials. I've interviewed them also. But a message for someone who's learning, maybe considering their first YCM in their factory right now, what kind of message would you give them as they see so many people interested behind us?
Well, for YCM is all about quality. It's all about stability and reliability. We recognize that in the future you have more automations and you want to have as little downtime as possible on the machine. So that's what we're focused on. We want to focus on the machine has continues to run on the reliability, and so that you can automate.
Yeah, very well said, my friend. Thank you so much for taking your time today, and to them later. Thank you all for watching. We have so many more different areas of YCM here in Taiwan, the largest machine tool company in all of Taiwan, and I can't wait to show you. Rick has indulged me today and taken me to the Foundry because I am that little kid that wants to play with, I don't want to call myself a pyro, but who doesn't have that magnetic energy to the fire? I know I do. I know my camera guy does. Rick, do you kind of like fire as well?
Oh, of course, man.
It's kind of fun, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it can be dangerous, and we should pay attention, and we're gonna be safe today, but at the same time, there's something about fire. It feels like the birth of so many things, right? Fire and ice. I went to Iceland and I felt this way. Now, when we think about the Foundry, and we think about making castings, and we think about this fire, we can't just throw a bunch of rubbish together when we're making machines, right? We gotta make sure that the quality is there. So before we take you out on the floor, we wanted to start in this, it looks like a chemistry room actually, but we wanted to start in this room because you actually in real time make sure that everything is perfect before it ever goes further into the process. Would you mind describing that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Any process has to be standardized, right? So we follow the me and night process. We have to make sure that all the castings are consistent, but not necessarily what you get in is consistent. So we have to make sure that it's consistent. Yeah.
I think because we're gonna walk this thing and we're gonna try and be as safe as we can because people are out there working. Rick's been. Let's just say we're both gonna be brave and we're gonna do our very best and walk through here. But when we're talking about a foundation of anything that needs to be this potentially and discussionably the most important part of a machine. Some of my software friends would say that, some of my hand scraping friends would say the materials going together, and of course it's all important, but the base is so, we have to start here, right? We have to start with those ingredients being perfect.
Of course, and that also goes with the process as well. So we have to make sure each casting is the same, and then we have this process where we have to test each batch of the castings, or each furnace. We have to test it through this machine right here we call a spectrometer. So each batch we test the composition of the metal, the casting itself, to make sure that it's consistent.
And this is in real time, you told me. This literally process going on right outside that window, right here, and they're adding or removing as necessary as it's going on.
Yeah, they'll do a test here and they'll see what's missing and they'll relay it back to the workstation there and they'll add what they need.
This is the quality that comes to you. Now we're gonna be brave enough to step outside. Cesar, as we walk through here, pan a little bit about, I just think it's important for the audience to see what's going on. And I'm gonna grab this door behind you. Oh, it's already open, but I'm gonna make sure that you're navigated good. I think that's important. And for the audience to see the investment, because when we're talking about YCM, we're talking about over 70 years of being together and building for you, right? So for you to see the behind the scenes quality that goes into it, the technology that goes into it, that's important for you to understand is you're investing in a product that's going to be with you for the next 10, 20, 30, maybe even 40 years, because I've walked into your facility and I've seen machines from 1968. So I know, and they're still running, so I know you're doing things right.
Oh yeah, but it all starts from here. You have to make sure you have a good base, good foundation, as you mentioned, and that's where it all starts. And we built this foundry about 40 years ago. And we've been building castings up to 500 to 600 tons a month. And we build most of our most critical components here in this foundry, make sure that our machines are stable, and make sure our machines are strong and rigid.
You've been doing this for 40 years, so I would say your family knew immediately the importance of being able to control this environment, right?
Of course.
Because, I mean, as good as everyone's saying that they're doing out there, in truth, if there's a long lead time and somebody can get a less quality product in and put something together and make somebody temporarily happy, they're doing it out there. But you guys don't sacrifice that. You're making sure that you're vertically integrated, and not just vertically integrated somewhere in Taiwan, but within walking distance of all your other facilities. You realize that importance.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, even the foundry, the process of casting is also very critical. You have to go through every step. And that's how you get the stability of the machine, as I mentioned. So it's not just about pouring your metals. You have to have the casting sit outside, naturally aged. So you have to relieve all the stress to make sure it doesn't deform once you go out in the market. So that's the whole process. It takes time to do that. And you also a whole heat treatment process as well to make sure that the process is done well so that all the stresses are relieved.
Well, you're relieving my stress as well, making this conversation super easy for me. Now, what I want to bring up before we end this conversation, because some of this part is probably too dangerous for us to walk through with microphones and cameras. So what I want to bring up is, you've been doing this for 40 years. You mentioned the perfection that goes into the beginning. We see the fires, and we know that over time, something continues to get better and better. So a foundry that's a year old, 5 years old, 10 years old versus 40 years old, you guys have lived it and experienced it and been a part of the successes and the mistakes in order to create a superior product. I think that's important for the audience to understand. It's not an overnight thing. You guys have been doing this for 40 years.
Yeah, definitely. The machine tool is definitely it's all built on experience, and it's you have to do a continuous improvements, and make the process continuous and consistent, and to make a good quality, high reliability product.
And then you hand scrape it, add that precision, and keep doing what you're doing on top of that foundation. Last question for you, and then we'll head out of here before we get hit by something and the dust is everywhere. We got these hard hats. Did you bring any marshmallows?
I have them ready for you.
All right, we got marshmallows coming as well. This is the foundry, the base, the beginning, the importance of how your machines are being made. 40 years. This wasn't done overnight. Rick and his family have been doing this for over 70 years, but the foundry for 40 years. Think about that when you're investing in your next machine and how long you want to be with that machine moving into the future for your next generations as well. Well, we've made it to the assembly area now, and if you have not seen some of the other videos, please tune into those. We got a foundry, we got the finished machines. In fact, we had to run through a whole lot of people. So if you haven't seen those videos, check those out as well. I got my buddy Rick here. He's made special time for us today. Super, super grateful of a man of this caliber to spend time with us. We're humbled and honored to do that. Right now, we're in the assembly area. And as you look around, you can see that it starts from raw boxes, let's say, because of my rudimentary English. Rick's English is better than mine. How about that? And it's his second language. But we start with the raw boxes, the foundation, and then it gets the sheet metal put on, and we move down the line. Rick knows about this far more than I do, far better, far more articulate. So Rick, we're in the assembly area. I know it's something you're proud of, because if you assemble something poorly, regardless of how you made it piece by piece, it's not gonna go well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so throughout the process, this is of course our most popular machine. So we're looking for ways to improve our lead time on the machines and improve the process. So what we had 10 years ago, about 15 years ago, we started implementing the TPS, and now we have called it the YCMPS. So it's a YCM production systems, and how we can continuously improve our assembly process, and how can we reduce the lead time, also be standardized with your process and improve your quality of assembly as well.
See, that's why you're a world leader, I tell you. Let's take a slow walk, because I know the audience wants to see some of the guts of the machines and the finished machines as well. What do you think makes, as we get into assembly, of course, but what do you think makes this one your most popular machine? And also, thank you for streamlining that, because I know people want to get everything yesterday. That's all right.
The 1 meter machine is always the most popular machine out there. So this is, of course, our most favorite machine because of our design, because of the rigidity of the machine, and also the performance machines.
I do see them everywhere.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. Every shop I go into, I feel like there's at least one. And if it's not one, they've already grown into dozens at this point. I see over here, it looks like to my left, and the audience is right, looks like they're starting to put together some of the pieces of the inside of the machine.
Yeah, definitely, and also you can see all the result that we have done for the continuous process, making them make it easier for them for assembly. For instance, the tools that we have provided, and these are actually all developed by themselves. So how do they help themselves to make this assembly process easier? And so you can see that all these fixturing designs here is all done by themselves.
That's incredible,
Yeah.
and I like when someone like yourself gives the creative spirit to everyone who, I mean, these guys are engineers, right? Who knows it better than they do? They're on the floor every day making these products, putting them together. They should be allowed that creative freedom. I like that you allow them to do that. Now, as I look around and I look at these machines, are the people sliding machine to machine, or the machines sliding down the row?
Well, normally the machine is very heavy, right? We set them down, we don't want to move them around. So it stays in one place and it gets built in one place, but we have to bring a lot of parts into it. And it takes up a lot of room. So this is where we went to more of a conveyor design where we put the machines on a conveyor. And then you can move the machines into different stages of the assemblies, and then you can also control the lead time, the takt time of the machine as it goes through.
Have you noticed a difference in the takt time or the lead time by making these adjustments over the years to make sure that your lead time is reduced? Because I know how important service and support, I've heard you give speeches, Rick, where that is the number one thing between quality, service, and support. Those are the things that you found everything on here at YCM. So have you noticed some of that being able to be reduced by making some of these quality changes?
Oh yeah, of course. We also have what we call a quality system, what we call failure systems. That's where we find out what the problem is, and all the machines will have problems. But when you find the problem, you have to find the root cause of the problem and how to fix that root cause. And so with this failure system is why we collect all the data and figure out where we need to change, where we need to modify, and where we need to improve. And it's a continuous process, and that's why we want to give the best quality machine to the customer.
I'm really happy you brought that up. I mean, for our audience watching right now, nobody wants to have, from anyone, no one wants to have a machine show up that they paid for and it doesn't work, right? Yeah. So the fact that you go through all of these quality checks and you're speeding up the lead time, making sure that these products are good when they arrive, that's what you want. These are the checks and balances that you go through. That's why you're 70 plus years, in business at this point, right? And continue to grow. Yeah,
definitely. That's always been a part of our philosophy is quality. That's what my grandfather preached when I was young. That's the most important thing.
All right, Rick, as we bring this all to a close, and we love having these tours, I know we're going to look at some other areas as well in some previous videos. My friends, please look at those videos also. It's important to understanding the true history, belief, and technology of YCM and all the years that Rick and his family have put into this. So as we close this one out, and we see these engineers working diligently, understanding that you are fine-tuning the process daily, and even now continuing to make sure that lead times are quicker because this is your most popular machine. When we look to the future and we continue to make things better, any messages for anyone as we close this out when we talk about just the assembly side of things to let them know we're here for you, we're making sure this process is taken care of. When your machines arrive to your facility, you can it's almost a plug and play at this point, right? Pop your products in and let's go, right?
Definitely. I think that's the whole principle of YCMPS is to continuously improve. It's an ongoing process, as mentioned. It's non-stop. So we definitely will continue to provide a high quality product to our customers, and it will only get better.
Yeah, well, 70 years now, 70 plus years now. Here's to another 70 plus years with your great-grandchildren on down the line. Rick, again, thank you so much. These tours are invaluable to everyone who cannot make it to Taiwan. We invite everyone to Taiwan, of course. If you want to visit, I'm sure Rick will open his doors and show you around, right?
Yep, definitely.
Oh, he says he will. We got him on camera now. But we know that most of you won't be able to, so we are honored to be here to share this story with you and bring Taiwan and YCM to your front page, to your doorstep, to your TV screens, and we have so much more coming for you, so check out those videos also. Well, I've stumbled into a room that has fantastic AC, and I get to learn more about it again with my buddy Rick, spending quality time with us today, which I'm super grateful for. As you can see, we're standing in front of a Yazda, and as I've mentioned, air conditioning. So, for those machinists out there, you might already know what room we're standing in, but we get to learn more about this high precision and how it's done. Rick, the AC feels good, doesn't it?
Oh, it feels great.
It was humid outside today.
Oh, definitely.
Well, when we think about high precision, we have to be temperature controlled.
Of course.
We know that 1 degree of temperature can change microns on anything, right? And some people don't realize how tight a micron is and how small a micron is, but 1 degree of temperature can change it within a machine shop. So having a temperature controlled room, that's a bonus.
Oh, definitely. Of course, we're using world-class machine like Yazda here. We definitely want to make sure that we get the best out of the machine. So we have to have the best condition possible so to get the best condition parts.
Well, you are already known for creating quality machines.
Yeah.
You're now focused in the 5-axis world. You and I, in other videos, check them out. You must check them out. Have talked about how the importance of precision as you get further away from the table and further away from the part is harder to get toward, and you're focusing on that. In this precision world, and we were just in the Foundry as well, by the way, which was amazing. And you talked about the importance of having a strong foundation for the last 40 years. But when you get into this world of precision and you're making spindles and precision components and making sure that your entire world of YCM purchasers, customers, buyers out there are taken care of, how do you so meticulously make sure that that's done?
Well, definitely, it's a pro process. It's just not an overnight thing. Again, we talked about experience. We build those experience, and we have to make sure that as also the machines will evolve. They become more complex, more difficult. For instance, the 5-axis, we talk about volumetric accuracy. To maintain good volumetric accuracy, you have to have geometric accuracy, and this is where it's done. You have to be machined in a very precise machine in a precise environment, and to offer a good, better, more precise machine.
Well, when we look around here, it's very obvious that you've made the investment.
Yeah.
I mean, we're standing on a platform right now and looking down at the cameras at this point, and the people behind the cameras hopefully enjoying our conversation, right? But we're standing up here, so you've made the investment. But understanding how machining works, not every component needs this environment. So which components are you focused on in here to make sure that your machines are discussionably some of the best in the world?
Oh, of course. For instance, we talked about 5-axis. That's definitely the parts that has to be machined in high accuracy environments, and also the spindles itself. A lot of the spindles, on high-speed spindles, you definitely have to, at the speed that you reach, you have to have good accuracies, and you have to maintain that accuracy.
Have you ever tried a machine that did not in the spindle? Have you ever seen the vibration or the wear and tear that goes into not just the machine, but the component all the way? I mean, I've seen that. Now, I know we're gonna sneak into the area where you're making spindles as well, but can you give the guys and gals out there a little bit of a highlight? You make your own spindles, don't you?
Oh yeah, we make 90% of our own spindles. The spindle is the heart of the machine, and that's the most critical part, and that's how you bring value to the machine. You have to, again, it's all about experience building. We've been building spindles for over 30 years, and we have a lot of experience in that.
It's the heart of the machine, and you're the heart of this conversation, my friend. I can appreciate you. Let's head on over to the spindle area to learn a little bit more about what 30 years can get you.
Okay.
So kindly snuck us behind the door that's just behind my camera guy to sneak us into the heart of the machine, as Rick so aptly described. What makes this the heart of the machine, and what does 30 years get us here, Rick?
Well, spindle is the heart of the machine because in the cutting process, it's the spindle that's doing all the cutting. So that's where, how do you control the chattering? How do you control the performance of the cuts? And that's where it all starts. It all starts from the spindle.
You and I have talked throughout all the videos we've been making about the importance of being able to run automation, to be able to run lights out, to do more within one machine, to do done in ones. But one thing that pops into my head when I think about being able to fully automize a shop is thermal expansion.
Yeah.
How do you guys deal with thermal expansion? I'm sure you've worked on that over the last 30 years, right?
Yeah, of course, there's definitely ways how you can control thermal growth of the spindles. But there's different ways you can do it. You can take the heat out of the spindle, or you can also compensate the growth of the spindles through software, or also through hardware, through sensors, where you have displacement sensors, where you can compensate for the movements of the spindles.
I've actually seen you guys participate in that part of the world as well, making sure that your machines are one of those modern styles that's constantly understanding the process of a job, to make sure that when I'm machining something, that before it leaves that machine, it's exactly what I programmed and exactly where it needs to be. So the displacement that might happen in some areas, in some parts of the world, let's say, where humidity is quite high or machine shop doesn't have total control, there is a understanding of what that heart of the machine can do, along with the balance and quality of everything else that you put into it over the last 70 plus years.
Yeah, definitely. This is the heart of it. So we put a lot of efforts, put a lot of engineering into those spindles to make sure that we give good quality product to our customers.
Yeah, and that's what we needed to see as we close out this tour. When you understand what you're investing in products that have been around for decades and 3 generations, and the largest Taiwanese company in the whole country. And these are the important aspects to understand. A foundry of over 40 years, spindle dedication to over 30 years, 3rd generation, family owned and operated, and they believe in not just themselves and you, but their distributorship, service, and support, their dedication that goes into it. This is YCM, and we are honored, Rick, to be here with you and share time. So thank you so much for opening your doors to us.
Thank you. Thank you.